Okay, student, now we will discuss some grammatical structures in the same text. So let's take a start. We have a sentence, else we would have been a free nation long ago. Here we have the word else. Else is basically working as a subordinate conjunction. Here in this text, in this sentence, this else is working as a subordinate conjunction, and it gives the meaning of otherwise, or what we call or. Else we would have been a free nation long ago. And another we have word long ago. Long ago is basically working as a conjunction. Long ago means we would have been a nation long ago. So long ago is working as an adverb, and else is working as a subordinate conjunction. But else is also working as an adverb. Now we have a sentence like, what else can I use? What else can I do, or what else can I use? So here it else tells about use. So that is why here in this sentence else is working as an adverb. Else can also be used as an adjective. For example, we have a sentence, can I use, can anyone else help me? Now you see it else tells us about anyone, and anyone is working as an indefinite pronoun. So any word which tells us about pronoun or noun, we call it adjective. So here this else refers to, or it tells us about anyone. So anyone is basically a personal pronoun. Indefinite pronoun. So any word which tells us about pronoun or noun, we call it an adjective. So here, can anyone else help me? This else is working as an adjective. And here, what else can I use? Here, this else is working as an adverb. And in this sentence which is there in your text, it was as a subordinate conjunction. Else we would have been a free nation long ago. So here it was as a subordinate conjunction because it combines two clauses. So that is why we call it subordinate conjunction. Long ago, it tells us about time. So any word, any phrase it tells us about time, we call it an adverb or adverb phrase. Now you see we have another sentence, especially a nation of 400 million souls. So here especially, remember, especially and specially, these are words which modify the whole sentence. It modifies the whole sentence, so that is why this is basically an adverb. Now which one adverb? Especially we call it focusing adverb. We call it focusing adverb because it always focuses. It always focuses a specific thing in the sentence, or it focuses on the whole sentence, so we call it a focusing adverb. Especially and especially, these are both adverbs, but it was as a focusing adverb. We call it focusing adverb. Now we see we have another word like you are free. You are free to go to your temples. Now you see to is basically a simple preposition. To is a simple preposition. But here, with to is followed by a verb like this one, to go. To go. When to is followed by a verb, so we call it infinitive. We call it a infinitive, and infinitive always work as a noun. It was as a noun. We also call it verbal noun. We call it verbal noun because it is made of verb. To plus verb. So it is verbal noun as well, because it is made of verb, and we call it infinitive verb as a noun. Now you see here to your temple, to your temples. Now this starts with a preposition, this phrase, and ends with a noun. Ends with a noun. So this phrase is known as a prepositional phrase. Any phrase which starts with a preposition and ends with noun, we call it prepositional phrase. So this is prepositional phrase. And this one is to go is an infinitive. This is infinitive. Especially is a focusing adverb. This is focusing adverb. The next sentence we have, we should keep that in front of us. In front of us. Now you see here in front of us. This is in front of us, in front of. This is basically this works as a preposition. We call it phrase preposition. Now you see, this is preposition, but it is in a phrase, in front of. In front of. This is basically a phrase preposition. This works as a preposition and basically a phrase. So we call it phrase preposition. Once again, it is followed by us. So in front of us, combinedly, in front of us, this is a prepositional phrase. This is a prepositional phrase because a preposition is followed by us, and us is a pronoun. So any sentence which starts with a preposition and ends with noun or pronoun, we call it prepositional phrase. So this is once again a prepositional phrase. Once again, we have our ideal. Ideal is a noun, and our is an adjective. Our is an adjective. Our room, our class. So our is working as an adjective, but it shows possession. It shows possession as well. Our book, our classroom, our teacher. So our shows a possession. So we call it a possessive adjective. We call it possessive adjective. Or is possessive adjective. Now we have the next. You will find what? That in course of time he use word. Now you see that in course of time you will find him. This is basically what we call, this is in course of time. This is what we call a clause, and it is a noun clause because it works as a noun. So any clause which works as a noun, we call it a noun clause. Next we have if. Here you see, if you work in corporation. These are the words taken from your text. So in course, if is basically a subordinate conjunction. A subordinate conjunction. And this clause which follows this subordinate conjunction, the whole clause would become subordinate clause, because the clause follows a subordinate conjunction, or subordinate conjunction precedes this clause, so we call it subordinate clause. Apart from that, we also use unless, the word unless in place of if sometime. So unless and if both are subordinate conjunction, and any clause which follows these two subordinate conjunction, so we call it subordinate clause. And if and unless is also used in conditional sentences. Conditional sentences, you see here is also a condition. If you work in cooperation, if you work hard, if you work in cooperation, so it shows a condition. It describes a condition, so we call it a conditional sentence. So if and unless also used in conditional sentences. Here this is also a conditional sentence, and conditional sentence can be identified by if and unless, not until. Until and unless, there is a difference. Unless is used for condition and until is used for time. Both are subordinate conjunction, but unless is used for condition and until is used for time. Now you see, we have you are bound to succeed. You are bound to succeed. Basically bound to. Bound is a verb. पाबंद होना, okay, या लाजिम होना. Here bound is verb and to follows that verb bound. Bound to, this is what we call it a prepositional verb. When a verb is followed by a preposition, we call it a prepositional verb. Now you see, but here once again, to is followed by verb as well, bound to succeed. So to succeed is also it works as an infinitive. When to is followed by a verb, we call it infinitive. As I told you earlier, that infinitive works as a noun. As a noun, not as a verb. We also call it a verbal noun because it is made of verbs, so we call it a verbal noun as well. The next we have is first. Is first, second and last citizen of Pakistan. Now you see first, second, third. It works as an adjective. For example, we say first citizen, second citizen, last citizen. So these are words first, second and last tenses about noun citizen. So these words first, second and last was as an adjective. So these are working as adjectives. So because it tells us about noun, so that is why these words first, second and last work as adjectives. First and second can be used as pronoun as well. For example, I say I saw two boys. First was monitor and second was a prefect. Second was proctor. So there first was a prefect. First is working as a pronoun, not as an adjective, because in that sentence it does not modify any noun, rather it replaces a noun. When first replaces a noun, so it works as a pronoun. When first tells us about noun, then it works as an adjective. The next we have, there will be no end. No. The word no tells us about end, and end is noun. So any word which tells us about noun, that is what we call, that is adjective. So no is working as an adjective over here. Once again, to the progress you will make. To the progress, combining once again to is preposition, the progress is noun. So this is prepositional phrase. This is prepositional phrase. And you will make, this is a clause. This is a clause because you is subject and will make is predicate. So this is a clause. Clause having subject and predicate. Once again, we have the next sentence. Because is basically subordinate conjunction. This is a subordinate conjunction. Understand? We have coordinate conjunctions, we have subordinate conjunction, we have correlative conjunction. We have 7 coordinate conjunction. Fan boys, you might have heard about fan boys. So because is basically subordinate conjunction because it combines 2 clauses, 2 sentences, 2 phrases. Even is an adverb. This is an adverb. Because it's conjunction. As regards, sometimes it was as regards Muslim. So as regards sometimes it works as a preposition, sometimes it also works as a conjunction. Then we have the next, indeed. Indeed, this is an adverb. This is an adverb. Indeed is basically adverb of certainty. It is an adverb of certainty. Indeed or certainly or verily. Indeed, certainly, verily. These are the adverbs which are known as adverb of certainty. Adverb of certainty. If once again we have if, as I told you earlier, if is subordinate conjunction. If are mostly it reflects, it shows what? It describes a condition. So if is working as a subordinate conjunction. Then we have nobody. Nobody is basically working as a negative subject over here, but nobody in itself. Nobody is indefinite pronoun. It is indefinite pronoun. Nobody helps the poor. So nobody is indefinite pronoun. And could, as you know, could is a modal verb. It is modal auxiliary. Modal verb because it is known as modal because it changes its moods. It changes its moods. For example, he could play hockey. So could shows ability. It could shows ability. So could changes its mood. Could is modal auxiliary. Nobody is what we call indefinite pronoun. Continue its hold on you. I hope that you have understood these grammatical structures or what we call parts of speech, translation and explanation. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.